Welcome back to another episode of The Process, where we spend just a little bit of time looking at stats now so we can be just a little bit smarter watching games later. Jason Roach is a 6'5" shooting guard who played for the Citadel last season and is transferring to Richmond. He seems like a very Richmond player. To put it plainly, Roach is about as extremely one-dimensional as a college player gets, but that one dimension, shooting, is obviously very important, and he's clearly very good at it. You'll be hard-pressed to find a guy who had a higher percent of his total field goal attempts being threes than Roach, 91%. That's insane. With 0 dunks, a steal percentage not even clearing 1, and virtually no playmaking to speak of, it's just hard to see any NBA potential here, barring massive improvement, or I don't know, like maybe he becomes a 50% three-point shooter. Hey, you never know though, Roaches are notoriously hard to kill. Amir Spears, nicknamed Primo, another 6'3" combo-ish guard, is playing for Georgetown this upcoming season after transferring from Duquesne. I'm going to make this a quick one because there's just not much here to get excited about. 0 dunks, defensive rebounding percentage below 10%, didn't really shoot well at any level, and maybe slightly above average passing stats for his archetype. On top of all that, Spears is going to be 22 come draft time, so he's basically senior aged already. Let's move on. Frankie Fidler, what a name. It's the kind of name where you want to always say both his first and last name because it's so good. And I think I'll do that. Frankie Fidler plays for Omaha. Not a good team, and I wish he would have transferred to a high major because there actually could be something interesting here. Frankie Fidler has good size, being 6'7", and the shooting splits are really encouraging, although smallish sample to be sure. But having a three-point percentage above 40, a free throw percentage above 80, and a mid-range percentage near 50 all point in the same positive direction. The rest of Frankie Fidler's profile is fairly rough, though, with only 1 dunk last season, a steal percentage below 2, and pretty mediocre rebounding and playmaking. I don't have a birthday on him yet, but despite the warts, and assuming he's not super old already, the fact is someone with his shooting and size combination, think Hyunjung Lee from Davidson last season, has a conceivable chance to be a guy. My thought is Frankie Fidler is a tier below Tucker DeVries, to put his NBA case in perspective. But still, there's some chance here in my mind. We might be looking at a guy who has another solid season and then transfers to a high major and makes his case as a junior. Sam Vinson is a 6'5" guard who plays for Northern Kentucky. Clearly not an explosive athlete with just 2 dunks, but his steal rate was basically elite at 3.5%, which makes him somewhat intriguing. Also had pretty good playmaking numbers with assist rate and percentage around the 90th percentile and an assist-to-turnover ratio in the 84th percentile. Shooting stats weren't great, but not far away from being interesting. Still, at the end of the day, Vincent has a lot of work to do to get into the NBA conversation. Here's another guy that might benefit from transferring at some point, but hard to see him being a guy in the 2023 draft at this point. Wayne Smith is a 6'2" Australian guard who plays for Charleston and was actually a teammate of Taron Armstrong before they came to the States. His profile looks a lot like Jason Roach, an elite shooter, but unfortunately he's even smaller. Reminds me of Kyle Guy, who has yet to make any NBA impact. I don't have high hopes for Wayne Smith being more of a guy than guy. Sorry for the pun. Glenn Taylor Jr. is a 6'6" wing who plays for Oregon State, and it's not inconceivable with improvement in his shooting, he could start to become at least a fringe draft prospect this upcoming season. There are no really red flags here, but nothing spectacular either, which maybe is a red flag in itself for any potential NBA prospect. Also, the fact that he had just 3 dunks suggests underwhelming athletic ability. Still, when you're 6'6", the stats bar tends to be lower than it is for small guards or dino bigs. So if he can just prove out his shooting more, he'll start to get in some draft conversation. If he doesn't shoot, he likely has no shot. Paul Bruns is a 6'4" guard who played for North Dakota his freshman season and decided to transfer to South Dakota. Gotta hit all the Dakotas, I guess. Bruns has a fairly nice combination of shooting at all 3 levels, decent rebounding stats for a guard, just hits the 2% steal threshold, and it has an elite turnover percentage, meaning he doesn't turn the ball over. On the other hand, he had a pretty low assist rate, so he doesn't exactly profile as a playmaker, more like a guy who mostly shoots the ball when he gets it. No dunks, would be nice to see some dunks, not a super exciting profile, but I guess there's some non-zero chance he could be interesting if he takes on a bigger playmaking role at South Dakota, and if his shooting takes another leap. Max Lewis is the third Pepperdine prospect that we've seen so far after Houston Millette and Mike Mitchell, and I think he is the most promising, at least judging only on his statistical profile from last year. At 6'7", 195 pounds, he's about 10 to 15 pounds away from being prototypically wing-sized, and if you project the 7 dunks he had last season over a full season of about 3x the minutes he played last year, that's around 20 dunks, which is a great number for a wing. When you add in his steal percentage being over 3, his block stats being in the 80th percentile, his shooting percentages all being very respectable, and a usage of 30%, you're starting to talk about a profile that is definitely first-round potential and maybe lottery. Of course, we'll need to see more of this over a full season and much bigger minutes, which isn't always easy to do. But if he can maintain or even improve in a few categories, especially his playmaking stats, which are probably the weakest area of his resume right now, it's really not far-fetched to project him mid-first round or even late lottery. Now, it should be noted he'll be nearly 21 at draft time, so he's more like a junior in terms of age. He'd be a young junior, but still, that is something to think about when comparing him to others in his class. And one nagging thought I have is just that Pepperdine was so bad last season. I wonder why Lewis didn't transfer somewhere better. Oh well, definitely on my watch list. Zeke Mayo is another 6'3" combo guard. Are you getting tired of them yet? Anyway, Mayo played with Baylor Shireman at South Dakota State last season. With Shireman transferring to Creighton, I would imagine Zeke is going to have a chance for a much bigger role. His shooting stats were pretty tremendous, with the usual small sample disclaimer. Free throw percentage above 90, three-point percentage above 40, mid-range percentage above 40, layup percentage above 60, and overall two-point percentage above 50. Two other positives from Mayo are a near elite assist-to-turnover ratio, and at least he clears the 10% defensive rebounding percentage. The flags on his profile are the 0 dunks, just 1 block, steal percent below 2, and a very low usage for his archetype. I'll need to see a lot more usage while maintaining the shooting efficiency, but if he can do that, I think Zeke will have my attention. He's fringy right now, but there's a sliver of hope here. Geronimo Rubio de la Rosa, let's just call him Jerry, is a 6'2" guard who plays for Columbia. Nominally, the numbers here aren't actually that bad, but as we've seen for this kind of archetype over and over again, the smallish combo guard, there needs to be way more to be taken seriously, especially coming from the Ivy League. Sorry, Jerry, I'm not going to spend too much time thinking about you, but good luck. Devin Carter played for South Carolina last season and is transferring to Providence. The 6'3" combo guard is the son of former NBA player Anthony Carter, who is actually a player development coach for the Miami Heat now. Not gonna lie, all else being equal, this fact gives Devin Carter a little bit of a legitimacy boost as a prospect, as we know he has some NBA genes already. The thing that immediately jumps out from his profile is the 14 dunks in only 500 some minutes. If we double that for a full season, that's nearly 30 dunks, which at 6'3", I don't think I need to tell you that indicates an explosive athlete here. With a decent steal percent, above average block rate, and well above average rebounding for his size, the tools appear to be quite good. He's going to have to work on the shooting percentages and playmaking, and he's junior aged, so there are some important flags here that can't be ignored. But cue the Dumb and Dumber meme, yes, I'm telling you there's a chance. Deshawn Corbett is a 6'6" wing who plays for Chicago State, and is our final prospect for this episode. Corbett is a good example that not all 6'6" wings are interesting. Other than being a 6'6" wing who rebounds well, there's almost nothing good about his stats profile, and some really red flags like a steal percentage of 1.1%, only 3 dunks, and an assist-to-turnover ratio in the scary bad 3rd percentile. He also needs a ton of improvement in his shooting, and if all that wasn't bad enough, Corbett plays for one of the worst teams in the country. I don't see a real prospect here, barring massive outlier improvement across the board. Alright folks, so in this group of a dozen prospects, the clear standout was Maxwell Lewis, who heads into the season as a potential first rounder, with runway to go even higher. Barring a complete meltdown, he should be on your radar heading into the 2023 draft. As for the others in this episode, Frankie Fidler, Glenn Taylor Jr., Zeke Mayo, and Devin Carter are fringy prospects right now, but odds are one of them could turn into something legit. I'd keep an eye out on all 4. The rest of the prospects we talked about most likely aren't declaring in 2023, but you never know. Okay folks, that's it for this episode. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons to help my channel grow. Leave comments or questions below if you have them, and I'll see you next time.